What seems now like a long, long time ago, before all of this, before the film, before the road, it's hard to say exactly when this started, but I suppose a good a place to start as any is my first camera, given to me as a Christmas gift by my mom sometime around 1999. And from then on, I bring it everywhere I go. I record everything. Tape after tape of long bus rides to and from cross-country events. Talking to myself on the way to work. Snowball fights after practice. It didn't matter to me whether it was something worth sharing with someone else. I recorded maybe only because I could. Or maybe the reason was something far deeper that I've since lost track of. It's been 15 years. Regardless of my intentions, after graduating, the idea to ride a bicycle across the US became the focus for myself and a close friend, Tim. And for the first time in years, I decided to not pack my camera with me as we made our way west towards the Golden Gate, assuming, foolishly, that it would be too hard to keep the batteries charged and the tape safe. A decision that I would later regret very much. And after 55 days, I returned to Michigan, broke and restless. And I moved away to my first apartment, taking a night shift stocking shelves in Ann Arbor, where I formed the strange habit of wandering the rooftops between midnight and sunrise, recording the empty streets, handwriting scripts in the parking garages. At first, the feeling set in as a kind of confusion. It wasn't clear yet that I was struggling with the after effects of the road. But gradually, confusion turned into something that felt unfinished. The road played out over and over in my mind. And in response, I tried harder and harder to write and to film other things. But nothing helped. The trip had left me lost and nostalgic. By now, Amanda and I were together, living in Ipsy. And when she first suggested I try making a documentary about a coast-to-coast bicycle trip, it seemed obvious. Something that had been right in front of me the entire time. It set a goal for me. Much like the Golden Gate on my first trip, it was a new, far-off horizon to work towards. A way to say something very personal. A way to move forward while still looking back. And so began a nearly 12-year-long struggle. When I look back on these first several days into production, before Larry had to say goodbye to Jay, before the crew left near Glacier, before we ran out of money with 3,000 miles left to go, before the nervous breakdowns and all the hell that Amanda and I put each other through. These first several days felt so close to something. I was convinced if I could just film Larry's ride, from start to finish. If I could just make it to the Atlantic, then this experience would be life-changing. Then I would have done something great. The 64 days that followed this are a blur. They coexist in a place that I look back on as both some of the happiest days of my life and some of the worst, all rolled up into one difficult to define memory. And so I returned to California, greatly in debt and defeated. I had reached the Atlantic, but it wasn't enough. I still felt I had missed something crucial on the road. But unlike the months that followed my first trip with Tim, this time I now had something to compare to. I began to notice patterns within my experience on the road, within Larry's experience, and within the making of the film itself. There were parallels. These three events all followed a similar curve, one that I realized I could trace ahead, almost as a way to navigate. The end of this film will come and go, and much like the Golden Gate, and much like the Atlantic, the rush of conflicting emotions that comes with that ending will leave behind a sense that something is missing, unfinished. Even now, sitting here in a dark soundstage, listening to the final mix of the film, I miss the struggle. I miss the road, or what, for me, it represents. And I find myself daydreaming about the next thing. But this time something feels different. The idea that in reaching the ocean meant reaching the end. The idea that finishing this film would be anything other than a precedent. These were youthful and silly ideas. But in their defense, they did keep me going over the years, just not anymore. And if not for any other reason than being more driven by routine. And perhaps routine isn't as romantic an idea as the horizon, but it is routine that chips away month after month, mile after mile. It's routine that writes a screenplay that crosses the country. Which is not to say that routine on its own is inspiring or motivating. Routine without ambition is nothing more than comfort. And ambition without routine is nothing more than wishful thinking. It's hard to say exactly when this started, but looking back, all that mattered all that matters is you pick a direction and you keep your head down. And you work at it every single day. Every single day. No matter what.